Good morning, everybody.
Good
This
morning.
is Rachel Zond coming to you from Cincinnati, Ohio. So I'm going to welcome you. We are the Juneau Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. No matter your age, no matter your strength, no matter your beliefs or lack of beliefs, no matter who you love or who you live with, congregation founders and first-time visitors, we welcome you here to this community. The mission of the Juneau Unitarian Universalist Fellowship is to be a spiritual home for all people who are engaged in the search for truth and meaning. We are glad you are here. Our opening words today are from Katie Kandarian Morris. Here we have come into the sacred space. Quiet her now with our readiness, hushed voices, hoping, trusting for so many things, for connection, for communion, for inspiration, for information, for healing, for wholeness, for words, for music, for celebration and consolation. Here we have come into this space, bringing all of who we are. Let us be willing, however we are changed. I would love to have somebody light the chalice there, and I'll read from Reverend Scott Taylor. We gather today to hear the call of trust. Though our hearts have been bruised by broken promises and dreams deferred, may we listen again for that longing to repair and be repaired, that hunger to start anew. Like this flame, trust is something that needs to be rekindled again and again. May today spark the fire of a new match. And let us be grateful when we are able to give, for many do not have that privilege. Let us be grateful for those who share their gifts with us, for we are enriched by their giving. Let us be grateful even for our needs, so that we may learn from the generosity of others. I have a reading for you from Bob Smith, who I'm sure is a real person. March is a mentor we must learn to trust. The greening threshold of the ancient year, when soil revives and skies abruptly clear. Seeds struggle into sunlight as they must. We feel within ourselves that upward thrust, that sense of something constant drawing near, something whose steadiness allays our fear. Its gifts ubiquitous, but not discussed. How confidently spring makes promises the stellar's jays seem certain it will keep. This season means exactly what it says. Our eyes turn skyward, yet our roots go deep. What lies ahead is anybody's guess. But for the moment, we are done with sleep. And I'm going to attempt to share my screen to share a video for you of a song that's in our hymnal called The Lone Wild Bird. However, this trio, who I asked permission to share this, and they instantly gave it to me, they use different words. But as a good Unitarian Universalist, I'm sure you can interpret the lyrics that they are singing in any way that you would like to. There. Okay.
The lone wild bird in lofty flight is still with you, nor leaves your side, and I am yours. I rest in you. Oh, wondrous Each secret thought is known to thee, my whole life's path, whate'er it be, and I am yours, I rest in you. Oh, wondrous love, rest in me too, rest in me too. The ends of earth stretch far and wide, through darkened sea and open sky, and I am yours, I rest in you. Oh, wondrous love, rest in me too, rest in me too. The lone wild bird in lofty flight is still with you, nor leaves your sight, and I am yours, I rest in you. Oh, wondrous love, rest in me too.
Thank you to the Honey Whiskey Trio for those beautiful harmonies. So for February, our JUUF book group read Presence Activism, A Profound Antidote to Climate Anxiety by Lynn Sedgmore. The gist of the book was aimed at the idea of being present, in particular, developing a practice of groundedness and meditation as a way to avoid burnout in environmental activism. In the book group, we all had some troubles with the way the book was written, but agreed that there was a wealth of information to be explored from the book. A few of us were intrigued by a concept mentioned called deep adaptation, based on a paper written by British professor Jem Bandel. Let me introduce this concept and its connection to this month's Soul Matters theme of trust by saying that as we and our world inevitably change due to our climate anxiety in the face of climate change and climate peril, we may find our way through by trusting each other and working together to adapt. The book's author, Sedgmore, is a longtime activist who discovered that for her, the best tool for being effective and avoiding despair and burnout was what she calls presence practice. She uses metaphors and principles that might resonate for some people, but for myself, it wasn't workable. However, what did make sense was the heart of what she was talking about in maintaining a meditation practice. I believe that grounding oneself through meditation or being present or whatever anchors you to the interdependent web is value in many spheres of life, not just activism. To me, nourishing oneself this way is an example of trusting your personal connection to existence to help you navigate life's difficulties. So please start by trusting yourself to find a way to connect, to hope, to prepare, to be brave. And from there, reach out and trust others. There is much to be worried about or afraid of in our world, but our best hope is to trust that together we will find a way. It might not look like anything we ever expected to live through, but love and trust in our communities can help us find paths we couldn't see on our own. All of this is very much something I am still researching and learning about, and it is something that works better when discussed in community. So I hope that my scratching the surface thoughts today inspire you to investigate on your own and talk to each other. I will warn you that if you haven't already thought about how climate change and climate peril might radically alter your personal life in the near future, the discussion of deep adaptation could make a significant emotional impact. Professor Bendel says this about it: dismay and despair are understandably feared, but wrongly assumed to be entirely negative. The range of ancient wisdom traditions see a significant place for hopelessness and despair. The loss of a capability, a loved one, or a way of life, or the receipt of a terminal diagnosis have all been reported or personally experienced as a trigger for a new way of perceiving self and world, with hopelessness and despair being a necessary step in the process. In abandoning hope that one way of life will continue, we open up a space for alternative hopes. In his 2018 paper written for the Initiative for Leadership and Sustainability at the University of Cumbria, Jem Bendel defined societal collapse as an uneven ending of our normal modes of sustenance, shelter, security, pleasure, identity, and meaning. He includes in his paper many examples of climate science, and we can research and see current evidence of climate change around us that might lead one to think of this idea of collapse. This in turn leads to a great deal of climate change denial, not just from corporate powers, greedy governments, and uninformed or misled people, but from many of us who love this planet and its people, but fear losing our own privileged status quo. Bendel notes two kinds of denial. If we accept certain facts, but interpret them in a way that makes them safer to our personal psychology, it is a form of interpretive denial. If we recognize the troubling implications of these facts, but respond by busying ourselves on activities that do not arise from a full assessment of the situation, then that is implicative denial. Examples of this are signing online petitions or renouncing flying, ways for people to be doing something without seriously confronting the reality of climate change. In response to this paper, environmental journalist Alex Steffen said, "Dropping the dire truth on unsupported readers does not produce action, but fear." Daniel Aldana Cohen, assistant sociology professor, called the paper climate disaster porn. But Bendel's response to this was that he thought it odd to restrict our own exploration of reality and censor our own sense-making due to ideas about how our conclusions might come across to others. We want to imagine a future in which we can somehow save the world, but keep doing what we are doing. But Bendel says, take time to step back to consider, what if this collapse is true? Allow yourself to grieve and to overcome enough of the typical fears we all have to find meaning in new ways of being and acting. He suggests allowing for our emotions within a framework of community support and making intentional decisions on how to adapt for a radically different world and mode of living in a changed environment. The simplified idea of deep adaptation is to imagine that our world and lives could be drastically altered in the near future, And experiencing dread and fear shouldn't stop us from planning to adapt to a different way of living. He has four concepts for us to ask ourselves about in imagining our future: resilience, relinquishment, restoration, and reconciliation. Resilience. What are the valued norms and behaviors that human societies will wish to maintain as they seek to survive? How do we keep what we really want to keep? What do we most value? Relinquishment. It involves people and communities letting go of certain assets, behaviors, and beliefs where retaining them could make matters worse. Examples include withdrawing from coastlines, shutting down vulnerable industrial facilities, or giving up expectations for certain types of consumption. What do we need to let go of in order to not make matters worse? Restoration. It involves people and communities rediscovering attitudes and approaches to life and organization that our hydrocarbon-fueled civilization has eroded. Examples include rewilding landscapes so they provide more ecological benefits and require less management, changing our diets back to match the seasons, rediscovering non-electronically powered forms of play, and increased community-level productivity and support. What can we bring back to help us with the coming difficulties and tragedies? And reconciliation. That is in recognition of how we do not know whether our efforts will make a difference, while we also know that our situations will become more stressful and disruptive ahead of the ultimate destination for us all. How we reconcile with each other and with the predicament we must now live with will be key to how we avoid creating more harm by acting from suppressed panic. With what and whom shall we make peace as we face our common mortality? These questions are not new. Since the beginning of humankind, people have encountered and adapted to catastrophe, and people are living in the midst of catastrophe right now. Just in the States, I think people that dealt with Hurricane Helene and people in Los Angeles wildfires would say that they learned something new. Philosopher Jonathan Lear, who wrote the book Radical Hope: Ethics in the Face of Cultural Devastation, examined how Indigenous Americans dealt with forced migrations and adapting to reservation life. He noted what certainly plays a role in the climate denial of many privileged countries. The blind spot of any culture is the inability to conceive of its own destruction and possible extinction. There are forms of hope that involve neither denial nor blind optimism. What makes this hope radical is that it is directed toward a future goodness that transcends the current ability to understand what it is. To imagine this unknown future goodness, we need to trust and support each other. Brene Brown said, "I thought faith would say, 'I will take away the pain and the discomfort.' But what it ended up saying is, 'I will sit with you in it.'" If we can have faith in our communities, we can learn that fear, despair, and other emotions do not have to stop us from moving forward. Israeli poet Yehuda Amichai reminds us that emotions that seem to conflict can exist together. Grief, fear, disappointment, and hope can work together. Apologies to the poet, but as it's Women's History Month, I am replacing a specific term he uses with a neutral term to include us all in his wise words. A person doesn't have time in their life to have time for everything. They don't have seasons enough to have a season for every purpose. Ecclesiastes was wrong about that. A person needs to love and to hate at the same moment, to laugh and cry with the same eyes, with the same hands to throw stones and to gather them, to make love in war and war in love. Whether we explore presence activism or deep adaptation, whether we join a movement or focus on deep self-reflection, we need each other as a haven in the storm. Activist Deanna Ayers says that the success of our organizing depends on relationships that allow for trust, vulnerability, and rest. Ignoring the importance of these aspects leaves behind those with the least time, energy, and capacity. We have to embrace the truth that trust, vulnerability, rest, and care don't slow down the work. They help us move at a sustainable pace for everyone in our movements. May we be here for each other as we contemplate and discuss our greatest challenges. May we live our lives through the practice of trust, knowing that together we can change ourselves and our communities to adapt both to the times we are in and the times to come. Uncertainty does not eliminate hope, love, or trust. Let us be thoughtful. Let us be creative. Let us be bold. Let us be loving. Let us trust that even with struggle, we will find a way to be well together.
We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know within, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Oh yeah yeah, oh yeah yeah, oh yeah yeah, oh yeah yeah. We are going. Heaven knows where we are going, but we know within. And we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Oh yeah yeah, 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 oh yeah yeah.
We will send the flame today with words from Marilyn McIntyre, What to Do in the Darkness. Go slowly, consent to it, but don't wallow in it. Know it as a place of germination and growth. Remember the light. Take an outstretched hand if you find one. Exercise unused senses. Find the path by walking it. Practice trust. Watch for dawn. And I would love to now invite everyone to join in our closing circle, and people in Zoom land, make sure you're on mute.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we